Welcome back to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored with Caroline Stanbury. And today we are joined by, she doesn't really need an introduction. It is the queen herself of hoops. That's how I fell in love with you. Jennifer Fisher, welcome
Thank
to the show.
thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this. I feel like we're long lost friends.
Well, we've been following each other for many, many years at this point, but I
Yeah.
think I've discovered you. Well, you were just about to spill the beans because I always say to people that I'm interviewing, don't talk to me before we turn on the Kings, because then you miss the best bits. How did we meet? Because I think I know, but
Well, I remember I think you were on Ladies of London, and somehow you slid into my DMs or something about there was a bracelet that I
the
was,
hoops.
well, no, it was something else. It was a bracelet. It was like one of these bracelets that was smaller that had letters on it that I think you would want it or something. And you were like, oh my God, that's so cool. Or you replied to something that I was doing on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I love you. And that's sort of like how it started.
100%. I slide into everybody's DMs.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day because I was a big hoop girl too back then. And obviously, you are known for taking sort of redefining jewelry and turning it into the 21st century. I think you were pretty much the first person to make sort of old school jewelry really fashionable and bring it sort of forward, the old school designs. And that's what I love about all of your things. Everyone wears your things from Hailey Bieber to Jennifer Lopez, obviously. She was, I think, one of your biggest advocates. Michelle Obama. Is there anyone that doesn't wear your jewelry?
Um, I don't know.
I have all the hoops.
We've been really lucky. We've been really fortunate that but I think it's a testament to the weight and the quality of the product that these celebrities choose to wear the jewelry. Like, yes, like Rihanna, everyone people wear them, but I think that the testament is what is so cool. And for me as a designer, what I love is when you see them and they're like they're at Whole Foods or they're at the gas station or they're coming out of the gym and they have on the jewelry and they're not being professionally styled and they choose to wear it. So like for me, that is everything. But even more so than that, when you see someone walking down the street and someone's like, they've got my earrings on or they've got, one of my charm necklaces on and they're like, look, that's the coolest thing in the world. Um, but thank you for what you said about, jewelry, but, hoop earrings have been around obviously for centuries. But, I always say they're sort of like denim, you need multiple pairs, you need multiple colors and sizes. They're always in style. You just have to, depending on your mood or what you want to be wearing, do you want chunky? Do you want thin? Do you want fit, silver, gold? You need all of that. So I was very fortunate that, when I made our first product, which was our first hoop, was the Samira hoop, named after Samir Nasser, who is now the editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar, who's a friend of mine. We kind of hit the market running because it was lightweight. And once people started giving us that really positive feedback, I was like, well, I'm going to make every single style, hoop, color, and make sure that we corner the market on this. And that's how that started.
I think that's, what I'm so intrigued about because at the end of the day, like as you said, the hoop and jewelry is a statement. Jewelry is a luxury for a lot of people, obviously. Jewelry is, you made it slightly more affordable back in the day as well. And what I also liked is, I have like so many different sizes of your hoops. I was so into hoops at the time. And now I've just ordered your knots. But I think the point is that, no matter what you're wearing, and I always say to women, get dressed. And I think, that podcaster Caroline, I can't remember her surname.
Fadina.
Yes, Bordino, who also follows me. And I love that about him. She's a little more jewelry than I had put on. But, I love her
Yes.
attitude, which is, my attitude. And that's, I think, we also started connecting that way, was for a woman just to get up. If you're in, like I am right now, T-shirts, actually, this is a good friend of ours too, Tara from L'Agence. And
We were talking about you the other day because I was so excited. I was so excited to be on here with you, and I love it when people that are so cool and amazing are friends already, like the two of
yeah.
you. I had no idea.
Yeah, we're great friends. I love
She's the
Tara. So she
best.
was on last week. That's about to come out. She always sends me her things, and like just a white T-shirt and gold jewelry, and you're good to go. Like you are, and they last for years. And I think the importance is more than just buying jewelry. It's the way it makes a woman feel, right? I think that's probably why you've lasted so long because, as you said, you didn't invent the hoop. You haven't invented anything completely new out there. It's just you did the denim of hoops
Yeah.
and and made it very accessible, very part of your where every girl, everyone wants one, right? And it's the way women feel wearing your things. Check out our travel ebook where we have made all the mistakes for you. If you like luxury travel or even just looking at amazing hotels to go to, this is the book for you. We also have discounted flights, room upgrades. Check it out. Click the link and go get your book.
You want women to feel empowered. You want jewelry, I always say, is like your armor. Like when I put on these rings in the morning, like I feel powerful. When I put on these bracelets, I feel powerful. And, my version of what feels powerful to me is not going to be exactly the same for you. Like for you, it's like hoops, or like I see that you have your bangle that's pushed up your arm. Like, it's your personal way of representing your strength and what makes you feel empowered every day in a really simple way. And to your point, making it more affordable and offering the hoop earrings in fashion. All of them have 14 karat posts. Like I try to do it, it's like luxury, but you want to make sure that, in some ways it is attainable for people. We do have the solid gold versions as well, but all of the fashion jewelry is sort of an elevated class of fashion jewelry. Our gold plating is thicker. Everything that I sort of do, it's all incredibly intentional because I'm a huge consumer, as are you. And we want to make sure that everything that you're wearing, whether it's a perfect white tank top like the Legence one that you're wearing, or this is also another friend of mine, sold out, Kiani. I don't know if you've met Kiani yet. You need to. You'll love her. Really simple basics and things, but the jewelry is what sort of puts it over the top. I'm wearing, denim today, as always, but it's different every day. These are culottes today. Yesterday it
Oh, that's
wasn't.
cute.
So it's about, but it's like mixing. You want to mix high low. You want to, I know that you have an amazing Hermes collection. So you're mixing with all of your pieces. Other pieces that are more casual that just feel like you. Like it shouldn't be one note. It shouldn't be one. We all should have this.
I think what's interesting as well is like what I really like about our generation, and I don't know going forward, because, so many women out there, if I look at, people that sort of support each other or don't support each other, if I look on Instagram, okay, what happens is, like today I put a picture up and they're like, where are your children? Where's this? Women shame women a lot. And what I've noticed in our industry, right? I'm on TV. You have a fashion line, obviously Ronnie Kobo. I know you know, and all of our good friends that we've all grown up with or know each other for a very long time. Tara, the founders of Net-a-Porter, all the people that we
Mm-hmm.
all ran businesses with. I found that we support each other, right? That we have a network of women that even if we don't know each other very well, everybody says, oh, I know of her. And everybody kind of helps each other in this
Mm-hmm.
industry, which is so nice to see as women, which I feel a lot of women today feels this extreme competitiveness against each other. And I actually think that, look, you're sitting, I mean, I'm not even in the fashion industry, but you're good friends with Tara. And, nobody from my generation or the girls that I speak to in LA and New York really view each other as competition. Like I'm friends with Anita Ko, with all of these
I
guys.
love Anita.
And yeah, exactly. And you're in the same industry. And I
But
wish
we're
we could
different.
teach generations. Of
Yeah,
course.
I know it's such a weird thing, and but I also think that it's really important, Caroline, to find your people. I think that and I'm sure for you, having been in television, and you find your people. There's the people that are, you see the mean girls, and you just sort of, for me, you can identify it. You can identify the energy. You know who you want to stay close to, and who you want to stay away from. And there should be no competition because we're all doing different things. Like, my jewelry is not the same jewelry as Anita's. Like, not, but also there's no reason to have that. Every single person in business should have the right and freedom to do whatever we want and to have friends that support us, and customers are going to choose different products. And there's a billion people out there. Like it's such a waste of time and energy, in my opinion. All of that, and then shaming women like us for working, like it's just it's ridiculous, and that's just part of social media, and you get used to it, obviously. But we know who we are, and we know how we parent, and our families and our business, and how we struggle and we juggle it all, and it's not easy and it's not perfect. And what I love about you also is that you're very transparent about things that you do, as am I. Whether it's surgery or whatever it is, and I think a lot of women are really fearful to be honest and to talk about
Oh,
those things. And I think they like to shame other women that choose to be honest. It's really
we
interesting.
started talking about this the other night, and I'm a big advocate in that because so many women, again, don't know what's available, and are scared of surgery. And I think women like yourself and me saying that we've had it, and I was fascinated by what you had your stomach done,
Oh, I've
right?
done everything. I've done my face, I've
Everything.
done my neck, I've done my eyes, I've done my teeth. I mean, I talk about it because I think it's such a disservice to other women to not admit things that you've done. I mean, first of all, you look at a picture of me in high school, it looks slightly different, but it's not, and it's not an insecurity thing. It's just a choice. And it's one time on this planet and this body is me, and I should be able to do whatever the fuck I want with my face, body, hair, boobs, anything, as should you. And there should be no
What
judgment.
was it? Cher said, if I want to put my boobs on my back, I will.
Yes,
And it's absolutely true.
it's
And I
true.
love that. And you wear it with confidence and you
Yeah,
look fabulous. And
thank you.
actually, I wasn't even looking to get my stomach done until you talked about the stuff you could do because, and now I'm thinking, oh, I want to go where
Oh,
you went.
well, I didn't do my stomach. I had to replace my implants because my implants were 10
But you
years
did
old.
the
I
top
did the
end.
top. So what he did was, my other implants had ruptured before at 10 years. So I was fearful of it happening again because it was really painful. I don't know if anyone out there has had that happen, but it's really not a nice feeling when one of your implants ruptures. And mine ruptured over Thanksgiving. It was like a nightmare to try to rush to do it before Christmas. So I didn't want to have that. So I'm 10 years. I'm being proactive. And this really amazing young doctor, Dr. Jordan Turner here in New York, did them when I actually was doing my lower eyelids at the same time because my eye doctor, Dr. LeBrun, is in the same office. So, anyways, Jordan was like, "Let's try it." He's like,
So American. You're so American. My
"But I
eye
would
doctor,
no,
my
I'm
leg.
not. I'm not though. I would never do my face. Like the doctor who does my eyes also does faces, but my face doctor's in
I
Beverly
know. You
Hills.
got a doctor for everything.
Got a doctor of everything. But anyway, so I did like a little mini. It's not perfect, but it did improve. For me, after having two children, I had the reverse of what most women do. Women have lower abdomen laxity, where I don't have that as much as I did on my upper, which is really like not as common. So a tummy tuck is not an option for me. I mean, I guess it could be, but it's not what I wanted to do because I didn't have a C-section. I didn't have that scar. So I was like, well, I'm going to have scars anyways. Let's try it. And I did see a lot of improvement actually.
I
So,
didn't even know
and
that was possible because
it's
a
like a
lot of
new
women
thing.
get that bit underneath.
Well, I think a lot
And
of doctors were doing it where they cut you straight across, where this doctor was
cut
like,
it.
I can
Yeah.
do it where you don't have,
Through
because
your
I wore really
boobs.
low V's. And now my boobs are also smaller, which I'm really happy about because when I initially did them, they were too big. And anyways, it's
But
nice
again,
to.
I think it's, a girlfriend of mine called me last night about my face and my face doctor as well. And I was like, I just wrote to her, run, don't walk, run.
And
Like,
the face thing
don't
is not
even think about it.
right. Like
I
the
mean,
face
it's
was not.
fine.
It was not bad. I was like, you know what it is? You know what it reminds me of? It's like, when you open a pack of chicken breasts, I don't know if you cook or not, but you open a pack and there's always that on the chicken breast, there's that little white piece of like fat that you want to cut off. And I was like, a mini face is like essentially like just cutting off that little piece of the chicken that you don't want. Like it's really not, it wasn't, I said my boobs were more painful, which is the truth.
I
I think
didn't
it's
do a mini
defined.
face. I did the full thing.
I did mini face and neck. So I I don't know. Listen, it's such a, and I'm not like this huge advocate for doing all this surgery. I think you just need to do what works for you and find the
Whatever
right
works for you.
doctors. Find the right
So,
doctors.
how many stores do you have now globally?
I have two stores currently. I have one in New York City in Soho on West Broadway
Yeah.
and downtown, and then we're opening a new one. Well, my other existing store is in Beverly Hills right now on Cannon,
Yeah.
which we're
Yes, I
moving
thought so.
next to Air One because that's where everyone likes to go in LA. So we're
Yeah.
moving from Cannon, which was hot in COVID when we built the store, and then not because a lot of the restaurants went out of business where we opened. So we're moving one street over to Beverly into like the hot section of Beverly Hills by Air One, which is very exciting. And then we're also building a new store on Madison Avenue and 85th here in New York City, which is really exciting. That's going to be our flagship. And I'm going to open cafes little mini coffee cafes in each location to sell. Well, my cookbook actually pre-launches today too. My cookbook is out today, so I can
And you
talk
have your
about it
salts.
myself.
How do you manage that and a family and I'm taking your salts to my retreat. I'm very
Oh,
excited.
yes, we're very
Um,
excited to be at your retreat.
how do you manage family and a business like this? Because, it's not easy, especially now, the whole world of retail has changed. It's very scary to be opening anything. Most people are closing and doing it online, which you already cornered the online market. You're on Net-a-Porter, you're on all
My
the
Teresa,
big
all of it.
sites. Yeah, My
Yeah,
Trader, exactly.
yeah.
You're already there. So it's for people out there, it's a very scary thing to be opening right now, stores and running for having your family and being a wife and how do you juggle it all? Is your husband in this with you? Did he help you or you?
My husband's into that. He's an amazing partner to me. He was in the business with me
Mhm.
for 8 years. He's no longer in the business with me, which I think is good for the marriage. But he's helping me on the side because I'm starting now. The food has sort of started to really take off, which is exciting with my salts. And like I said, my cookbook pre-launches today. It's gonna be. I'm so excited. It's called Trust Your Gut. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I thought that was good because it's all about gut health and
love it.
anti-inflammatory eating, and so that's out. So he's helping me with sort of the media side of that, which is exciting because I not only am a mother, I'm a huge consumer. So for all of my fashion, travel, all of my recommendations that people ask me for every day on Instagram, we'll have a separate space for that outside of Jennifer Fisher, which is called Maiden, which we haven't launched yet, which is coming soon. So we'll probably
But
have
how
announced
do you
it.
keep the dynamic in the family, like with
I
him? Because so
I
many times when you get a very powerful woman, it sort of separates you.
I think it brings the family together, to be honest. My husband is sort of like, we're like the yin and yang. He's very chill. He lets me be me. He lets me fly. He doesn't ever try to micromanage what I'm doing or control me or and nothing. He's the most incredible life partner you could ask for. We've been married 23 years. We've got two children. My son is in college. He's a sophomore, and my daughter is now getting into colleges this week. So our last one's tomorrow. So we're going to be empty nesters, which is actually also exciting because we've been through, all my kids and my family know is this business. I started this business when my son Shane was born. I don't know if you know the story, but I couldn't find anything to wear. Um, Long story short, I went through chemotherapy when I was 30. I have something called a desmoid tumor, which is very, very rare soft tissue
Oh,
sarcoma that
wow.
I've lived with. But post chemotherapy, my oncologist didn't want me to carry the child. So we went through surrogacy, IVF. None of it worked. And 3 years later, I got pregnant with my son, Shane. And when Shane was born is when the jewelry company started because I was a wardrobe stylist prior to that in LA and New York. And that's why I love clothes so much. And but I did study business at USC. I went to Marshall School of Business and studied business marketing. But anyways, he was born. People were giving me gifts to represent him. I'm like, these are not any. They're beautiful, but it's nothing that I would wear. It was like very, very small and delicate and beautiful and felt feminine. And I'm like, I need something that's serious. This kid, it took forever to have him. I want his full name. I want to wear a dog tag. I want to run a heavy gold chain. And no one at the time made it. And that's how the jewelry started, Caroline. I started literally wearing it on set. People would ask me about it. I made one for Uma Thurman. Her piece was done the day she was shooting a Glamour magazine cover, and she wore it on the cover of Glamour. But I literally was like making it for like the grips and the gaffers and all the guys on set for their wives. And I started a website selling direct to consumer customizable jewelry when Shane was born. So all my kids have ever known in my family is I've always been in business. I've always been this way. It's all they know. So it's sort of we've managed it. It's really difficult. Days are really hard and it's really stressful. And like you said, opening stores right now is scary and challenging. The gold market's at an all-time high. Good thing gold is a great investment. So there's a lot of different levels to it. The cost of goods for manufacturing all of our products, the tariffs, everything that's going on. I mean, it's very scary, but it's all I know and it's all my family knows. And I'm a fighter.
That is a
But
good question, actually. With all the things going on and the tariffs, why did you decide that you need the stores? Because, a lot of people are umming and ahhing now. Do they close their stores? Do they open more stores? Do they, you kind of have to, when you start, you have to then go forward, right? Or do you just because you have such a great business, which is on all of these other, platforms, Why do you feel the need that to have the standalone stores at this point?
So the stores for us are really more of a destination space. It's
Hmm.
really a great place. Jewelry, people want to touch and feel it. People want to understand the weight of it. I think it's different than a ready to wear brand or even a beauty brand. I mean, beauty brand, you want to swatch and test the colors, obviously. But for jewelry, it's like I said, it's such a personal experience, and people want to know how heavy our rings are. They want to come in and feel them, and then once it's the greatest advertising. They come in and we sell the salts in the stores. It's such a there's so many different avenues that are good drivers for the stores, and it made sense to also include these clean coffee cafes, because a lot of people do follow the way that I eat, and they always are asking me for what snacks, what's this. It's not going to be a full restaurant, but it will offer lifestyle elements. And I don't know if you know about the collaboration I did with CB2 here in the United States. It was a home lifestyle
I know
collaboration.
CB2. Yeah,
Yeah, so just when COVID started is when my CB2 collaboration launched, and it was all home. I did 108 pieces of home. I mean, I did
that's
couches,
fantastic because
couches,
it's
sofas. These swirl
such a good
dishes,
price.
these are $8. My swirl dish outsold the white dish on Crate and Barrel, I think, at one point. I don't know if that's still the case, but this gives us an opportunity to then launch some more of our home goods within the brand also. So we really just want it to be a customer experience, and it's great. I think the key is also not to like blow out and open 20 stores. We've been very meticulous. We've been very like thoughtful in all of our openings and our locations. I'm not rushing to open a million stores right now. Yes,
Right.
maybe there's key markets that make sense for us: Miami, Chicago, Toronto, London. Maybe there's a few of those things that are on the roadmap: Texas, Houston, or Dallas. There's conversations that are had every day about where to go next, but we're doing it slowly. We're not doing it too quickly, because really, at the end of the day, we're a D2C brand.
So take me back to when you met your husband then. What was he doing at the time before he joined? You did this together or?
Well, when I met my husband, my husband was living in New York City. I met my husband here in New York via my best friend, who was her cousin. Growing up, families were super tight, which is like always a great way to meet people. But I was actually dating, the actor Matt LeBlanc from Friends.
Yes.
So I was dating Joey
No
Tribbiani.
way.
Yeah, when I met Kevin, I just started dating Matt. We didn't date very long. We dated like a year and change. But I just started dating Matt when I came to. It was the opening of like the Mercer Hotel, and I came early for that to.
I used to live right opposite the Mercer Hotel, 100 Prince Street.
Oh my God, it's the best location. I was at 103 Green for a million years. I had both my kids
No
at 103
way.
Green. I want to move back so badly. That's why my first store was in Soho, because I love Soho so much.
I was above Miu Miu for 2 years
It's such a good
or
location.
3 years, I
Wait, do
think,
you
when
know
they were
John?
building.
Wait, do you know
Gone.
John and Georgia? John McDonald,
No,
who the Merc Bar and Lure and all those restaurants. He lives there.
no,
Oh, he's a good friend of
no,
mine. You
no.
need to know him. He's really cool.
I lived there
Anyways,
while they were building it. Go on.
such a good location. There's nothing like Soho. It's got the best energy in New York. I love the
Yeah.
neighborhood so much. People can say whatever they want to say about tourists, but I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I had
Um,
that giant loft with no doors on it. It was just amazing, and it was 2,500 square feet or something ridiculous with no doors anywhere.
I had Meaning no doors on the interior of the apartment, or did the elevator just open
Interior,
into?
interior,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
elevators opened into it. But
So did
then, yeah, the
mine,
whole thing.
with
Yeah,
no doors. I lived in New York
yeah,
City with an elevator that opened into my apartment for 10 years with no front doors. I am like,
yes,
it's so crazy. We now have
crazy.
doors. We now have doors. So don't
I
come to
think
my house.
everyone probably does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we met, and I was dating Matt. And so I went back to New York, to LA, and I was like, he was cute. And then Matt and I broke up, and I came back to New York for something else, for work, and we went for drinks, and that was it. We literally were like, it was phone calls. Every couple of weeks I would come to New York, he would come to LA, and we would sit on the phone for hours. It was just like that instant connection.
Was he on Friends then?
Oh,
Was he
Joey,
on
I'm
the
talking
show
about.
then?
Oh no, Matt was. Matt and I
Matt.
broke up. I'm
Yeah.
talking about Kevin now.
Oh,
Kevin, my
Kevin
husband.
now. Sorry.
So now we're talking about Kevin. Kevin, my
Yeah.
husband of 23 years. He worked on
Yeah.
Wall Street. He actually
Hmm.
worked, which is so crazy. We had our first drink at Windows on the World in the World Trade Center, which is so crazy, because he actually worked at Cantor Fitzgerald. But he
Oh, wow.
left to go start another smaller entrepreneurial company, and he moved out of that, and thankfully took his brother and his friends who introduced us with him. So thankfully they weren't there on 9/11, but I did lose a family member, unfortunately, who still was there. But Kevin and I got married 3 days before 9/11. which is also crazy. Yeah, but we've been together ever since. He's amazing. So he came in to help me with the business when he tired of working on Wall Street. He was just didn't really want to do it anymore. He had garden leave, and he was like, "Let me just come help you out for a bit." And then he stayed for 8 years and never left until last year. So,
And what
um,
made him leave last year?
so I
Because
took
I
on
always wonder,
partners.
you took
I,
on
t- I
partners.
took on
Okay.
partners, and it just changed the dynamic of the business. And we just needed to restructure everything for for the new business. So and for the growth. And but he's very happy to do. It's good for us for to not be in the business every day because it still is 24/7. Like I come home. I like vomit all the stuff of the day onto him, and the greatest thing though is he fully understands it because he was in it for so long, so he gets
And
it and
as
he
a,
understands.
okay, so this is an interesting part as well for a lot of people because I've been exactly where you were. I raised money from a fund, or two funds actually, for my business for growth. And, it's quite hard when you've run a business for 20 years as a homegrown business and you're responsible to when, suddenly you have a whole team of people. How have you
Great.
found it adjusting to that? I mean, it must be a shock to the system. I don't believe that anybody it's not a shock to the system.
Anyone, well, first of all, going through the raise and trying to
Yeah.
you're like selling yourself. It's like a rodeo every day of like,
Yes. Yeah.
pick me. That in itself I like want to write a book about. And I think all of us women should get together who've had to go through that. I was actually talking to, Trini London. I was talking to
Yes.
Trini last night about this. I had drinks with Trini and we had just met for the first time and we were talking
Oh,
about how
Trini's done unbelievably.
she's amazing. But the capital raise and but in going through all of that, but and finding the right partners. I mean, you kiss a million frogs. It's sort of like finding your husband, and I look back and it's like, thank God I chose and it worked out where I ended up because now I've got teams and people that, and I mean, but like, it's not easy and it's hard because you go from like a mom and pop ice cream shop where you're literally like taking the cash out of the cash register, like under the desk every day, to now it's like systems and processes and corporate, and it's a major shock to the system.
And I
But
want to tell women out there because I have a
uh,
lot of friends and like girlfriends. So I have one woman in particular who keeps asking me if do I have investors, and I've sort of presented investors to her, many that I thought were perfect, and every sort of one pops her down and goes, well, she sort of runs this like a personal bank account, right? Because over here you don't have corporate tax, you didn't have corporate tax, you didn't have anything. So it kind of is like homegrown businesses here where people do use them as personal piggy banks, right? Which is fine here because it wasn't set up any other way. Now it's been changed a little bit, but of the day. And I'm like, look, you have to put systems in. No, you need to pay yourself a salary. You can't just take it off the top line when it comes in. No, now you have to employ your daughter. Yes, you have to ask before you take. And they just cannot. And it's so funny to see people because I have worked in a corporate world for a long time where you literally have to, show if you want to go and buy
everything,
a pencil, a pencil.
literally.
Yes.
But it's
Um,
for me it's also like it's a weird feeling where you do miss some of that, where it's like I'm just going to go on this trip and it's on work and it's this and it's to
yeah.
now where you justify your expenses. It's a really good check for the business, and it's just I don't know. I love it. I mean, we're now in the Empire State Building, and we're part of a very large business called Centric Brands, which is about a $3 billion company that's mainly kids licensing. But we're one of two JVs that they've ever done, which is really exciting. So we get a lot of attention, and we have people that are really really excited to do something that is incredibly different for such a big company. Um, the support is amazing. Like I've got people, it's crazy the talent of people that are here now that are in the business. I was sitting in a meeting even yesterday and I was looking around and there's screens of all the people that are not in the exact office that we're in the middle of the meeting, and there's all these people sitting around the conference table, and it's wild. I was like, I remember there was like three of us.
I know. I have that memory of when I built my business, and I remember sitting. I had been at home with one PA or two PAs, and then obviously all the boxes arrived. Then the stock arrived because I was in I met you back then, luxury goods. And then as we grew and we took the first however many million in, and we got bigger, and we had giant, public money behind us. I remember suddenly getting to this brand new office, and suddenly I had 70, 80 people behind me, and I had screens on the wall with
Right.
every single country that, was dropping someone was buying from at the same time. And I still don't know. I remember sitting at my first Christmas party going, how the fuck did I get here? And the thing is, I think
Totally.
that is a choice that I think a lot of women don't understand, where we all have big dreams, and as much as those dreams are amazing, there are double-edged swords what you have to think about very, very, very clearly before you go into this, because it is a complete change of pace for life. Even if your name is above the door, people don't understand that. You could just jump on a train and go to Paris first class or whatever it was. Actually, because I was in a startup, I didn't pay myself a salary for, I think, the first 3 years. And then I remember when the fund came in, they were like, well, we're buying the business, but you're the CEO and you're not even taking a salary. And I'm like, well, I don't. I'll take it when we make money. And they're like, no, no, it's not a proper business till you pay yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself a salary, which I was
Yeah.
surprised about.
Yeah. I
So it's
paid
these
myself.
things you learn.
I paid
Yeah,
myself, but it was small. It wasn't a giant salary because you're running everything through the business at that point. It's a very
yeah.
different, it's very different, and you can't compare it. And listen, going through the integration into this was, it's still incredibly difficult because it's so many people that have to understand. My business is so specific and is very different than a lot of businesses. We've got multiple product categories. We've got D2C. Now there's a huge wholesale component of it, because we barely even wholesaled before we came into this. So that's like a huge opportunity, and, calendars and shoots. And it's literally life changing. Like, you have to be ready to take that bite and to do it, because it is not for the faint of heart. And it is not for people who cannot handle the amount of stress and organization and management that has to go into it. Like, you think you take on this and you're integrating into it and everything's handled. That's not the case, especially if you're a founder and you've been doing it for 20 plus years on your own, and you need to make sure it's your baby. You need to make sure that the customer service aspect isn't lost, that the customer experience isn't lost, that the packaging, like everything, it's so. I have controlled all of that as the chief brand officer of this brand for so many years, that you have to make sure that continually no one is making those decisions without me. And it's so much more now because it's heightened and it's bigger and there's improvements, and it's it's a lot. It is not for the faint of heart. There are some weeks that I'm like, oh my god, like, this is crazy. I had no idea we were going to ever get to this. How am I going to do this? But you do it. You
Well,
get through it.
I have a couple of women coming on my retreat that have, 70, 60, $70 million businesses asking the same thing. And they're coming not obviously because I'm sitting on that anymore, but I've been there and I understand where they are very clearly. And I think if anyone that's sat in this chair does, and I think it's a
Yeah,
very, very interesting place to be, because I always say, be careful what you wish for, you may just get it.
totally.
And yeah, and that's the thing. They see this, your fashion, you're with the famous people. You've got like J-Lo walking into your store. It looks so glamorous. And you skip around town with your big hoops, going from place to place, looking amazing. And that's what we do. I do
Yes,
too.
we
We
do the
make
same
life
thing.
look really easy, just easy. Like, we just don't
But
have a care in the world.
what you and I do though, is we show that it's not. And I think that's what's really, really important. And I think that's what, you see you in all of these glamours and the cars and the bags and all that. But then you see the two of you like on the beach with your dogs, and like, you guys are
Hmm.
normal people and you are going out and sitting on the beach like a regular human with your dog bowls. And, it's not perfect. It's real, but you can
And
do
it's
it.
also not real life on how you get there. I think it's really important, and that's what I've tried to say all the way through. Like, I found it very hard to do the transition of what you're doing. I
Hard.
know a lot of my girlfriends have, because, again, people can tell you that it's going to be a certain way, but it's, when you're the founder, you're so passionate. And I remember the first day I walked into the boardroom and I had, $22 billion worth of men sitting in front of me who basically told me how my new company was going to run. And I'm like, hang on a minute, that's not how my new company is going to run. And that is, there's a struggle there because, obviously they are bigger than you. Obviously they are people that now own a big chunk of the company, but what I've always tried to tell founders is that nobody knows your business like you do. I've always maintained that business is the art of bullshit, because when you built your business, as you said, you didn't know what you were doing. You were just a stylist who
No,
liked a piece of jewelry that you
make
liked,
it up.
right? You make it up.
Make it up.
Nobody knew that you were going to be Jennifer Fisher selling this, and doing all this, sitting in the Empire State Building. That is, you can't possibly foresee it. So nobody, including the men telling you how your business is going to run, didn't know how their trajectory was going to be either. So I think everybody needs to keep a clear sight of that. Just because you have grown-ass people who maybe have done better than you in front of you doesn't mean they're going to be able to do your business better than you.
Correct. And I think the key also is in all of this also is they've never done anything like my business. So that's what's also really amazing about this situation that I'm in, is that they are looking to me for,
Yeah.
tell us how this is done, because this is new for us. So being finding partners that are collaborative in what you're doing also, I think, is
Is key.
incredible, is key. Like I said, I kissed a lot of frogs, and I know that I would be in very different situations if I had chosen certain companies to go with.
I always say money is easy to find, right? You can always find money if you have the good idea, people. So don't panic when you're looking for a partner. Take your time. It is like marrying someone.
100%. It's like marrying a million people. But I also think another important thing is, and this is advice that I wish I had taken also, is to start looking for money before you need it,
Oh, way
before you are
before.
like in like dire, like, because I have women that message me, and I've heard stories, and it's you have to start. It takes so much longer than you expect to make sure that you are not like out of business when you were like, dire, because
Actually,
it's challenging.
that is one of the most important things. Thank you for saying that, because I completely forgot. Because I would always say there are two things I would say. One is, when you're starting a business, when you're selling a dream, it's easier than when it starts. So raise double what you think you need, because there's always an unforeseen cost that you haven't counted in. Selling the dream is easier than the dream as it's, really going. And then the other thing is exactly what Jennifer just said. Normally, I don't know about you, but most businesses are run on 3 to 4 months of money in the bank, cash left, because it's always moving, right? It's paying Peter to pay Paul. Your cash is
Hmm.
never really sat there. So, money goes out, you're waiting for it to come back in to pay everybody, right? So they
Yep.
always say 3 to 4 months. You're always 3 to 4 months for going under. So, that is an incredible level to stay at. Some people are less than that. So you do not want to be, a deal to raise money is at least 6 months, at least, for
Oh,
paperwork and everyone else. A
longer.
year, you don't, to get the right partner. You do not want to be in the position where you're running out of money, because if you run out of money, they will come in and slash your price and
Hmm.
take it from you. You need to be in that position of power. It is the most important thing ever, because you have no deal. You've got no leg to stand on if you're running out of money. It doesn't matter how well the business did, how well, whatever, you're in
Your
a position of
brand, any of that
weakness.
stuff, they don't care, and they want a deal.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say too, it also depends on the business that you're in too. So like for us, like when I was going out to raise money, all and until still right now, everyone wants tech. They don't want to talk to you unless you're tech, AI or tech. And so that was also really challenging. I'm selling a consumer good that is not anything that you need to live. It's a luxury. So that's
It's
like
a luxury.
another thing. So it really depends on what you're doing. And the one thing I want to say though is like to not to give up, because going through that is incredibly hard. You have days where you think you're not going to make it. You have days where you're like, I'm done. Like, and also like mentally, you're like, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna go start a farm and make it, start making goat cheese or something. Like,
I think
literally.
that's how I ended up. I think that's how I ended up in Dubai. I was like, fuck you all. I'm out of here. What am
I'm
I
coming to
doing?
visit. I'm coming to visit you, by the way. I have never been to
Oh, great.
Dubai.
Oh my
I'm
God, you have to.
dying to come to Dubai. Let's come and have
Come.
a
You're
part.
my
Let's have a dinner
guest.
party.
Come.
No, no,
Come.
I'm going to. I'm dying. I
Good.
see everyone like on
Good.
Emirates. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
It's the best.
I
It's
know
the
it looks
best. You've got to
amazing.
come.
I know I need to
Uh,
come.
and it's true. You know, you were. And COVID and all the times we're in
Oh,
now, and the world is such a weird place to try and launch well, not launch, but sustain a jewelry brand. So I'm saying you are a luxury. Like nobody's running
no,
out because they're desperate for a pair of hoops.
no, but you know what? You know what happened though is during COVID, my business skyrocketed, and
It's
we ran into a
crazy,
really well. It's
crazy.
amazing, crazy, but we ran into a really difficult position because we couldn't keep up with manufacturing in the United States because everything was made in New York City, and our
Why do you think that
manufacturers were.
is? I don't
Well,
understand.
no, we
Like
didn't
you're
furlough.
stuck at
We didn't
home.
furlough one person during COVID, which we should have. Sorry, I love all my people, but it's like that was we were being, really it was really important to us to not do that to people, but it was for at the sake of the business. But like literally during COVID, everyone was on these screens like us right now, and it was the only way anyone could see or communicate. No one was going to dinner, no one was buying handbags, no one was buying cars, no one was going on vacation. They were buying jewelry. So my business literally skyrocketed during COVID, and it was really hard to keep up with manufacturing. I was going in every day. I tell the story. I would go in. It was like a ghost town, and luckily we shipped from in house, so we warehoused in New York City. So technically, I was allowed to go to the work, and so Kevin would drive me in. We created this like underground railroad of all of our employees to keep the product moving from QC to shipping to plating to it was literally insane what we did. We would drive around, there'd be no one on the streets. He would drop me off at our office then on Fifth Avenue. I would go upstairs and listen to Justin Bieber all day. And I literally shipped every single package during COVID I'd have my workout clothes on. I would be listening to Justin Bieber all day long. I would loop the soundtrack because it was like kind of terrifying to be in there by myself all day long.
Mm,
I was taking the hundreds of boxes that I was shipping every day, pulling the cart to FedEx when the FedEx guy wouldn't show up. Like people don't understand the work that we put in that's behind the scenes. It is not glamorous. It is not celebrity. That is not elevated. Like you're sweating your ass off packaging product and shipping and driving around in like the early dawn and late night to make sure that your product is getting out there. Like people don't understand what it takes, and I think that's another thing of like you and I, where I feel like we're survivors. We have that work ethic of grit of like what it takes to get it done. Like I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I still to this day I'm walking around the Empire State Building pulling wardrobe racks for shoots and doing like I have no like ego
ego.
about no like the
Me
work
neither.
has to get done.
I remember that was going through the worst snowstorm, and my clients, some of my biggest clients, had ordered, $500,000 worth of whatever it was, gifts, and they were like, "If it doesn't arrive for Christmas, we're not taking it." And I'm like, "Holy fuck!" Like nothing was working. I'm thinking of ways that I can fly there, hand deliver them
Yep,
at Christmas, and miss my own Christmas so that I got this off the truck because there was
totally.
just no way. I was thinking I was paying staff to come with me. We would walk up the mountain to their chalet, like anything to deliver these things, because FedEx had said it was too dangerous to have their people go. And that's the stuff, the crazy stuff you do as a founder. It wouldn't
Yep.
even occur to me
Oh,
that I was going to go, oh, well, we'll just refund all those and we won't do it. I'm doing it. You're going
no.
to have your Christmas gift, and that is it. And I think that's what it takes today to be a good founder.
Yep.
And I think weirdly, Instagram, well, not weirdly, and all of these things have taken that ethic from so many people. And I think you and I and Tara and Ronnie
Yep.
and all these, Anita,
We
all
work our
these old
asses off.
school founders
Yep.
really are showing you, like, that this, it still takes this. It
It
really
takes a
still takes this.
starting a company on Instagram and putting up a couple photos of a product and then wearing a bikini or whatever it is you're going to do to get attention, which we all do. But like, you know what I'm saying? But like to put up some, lovely, perfect photo and photo shoot and a couple products that you happen to buy somewhere is very different than building a brand.
Yeah.
It's very different. And, in this day and age, it takes, what kills me is, and I don't want this for my children is that I don't want the work ethic and the value of a dollar, you know, I don't want them to feel, I'm pretty strict. I don't want that to be lost on my kids and this generation, because I think so much of this social media and this instant fame and gratification, TikTok and all of this stuff of like people that are literally, and credit to some of these people that really have created brands and done it via those avenues. But a lot of it is bullshit. So, and you just have to like, you just watch them, and time sort of, it cuts people off. You have to do the work and do the grind every day, and there are no days off. Like it is, yes, maybe you see those glamorous photos of parties and things, but 99.9% of the time you're in the office on your knees, like doing like, making sure that everything happens, or like, stressing about deadlines and emails or whatever it is, it has to get done, and product deliveries and incomplete, it's just like people have no idea what goes on behind the scenes of
Your
how
brain
hard
is
it
like
is
a Rubik's Cube daily,
daily.
daily. Thank you, Jennifer. You've been amazing. And I love that because, I love listening to how powerful women have built brands over the years. And it takes years. I'm sorry, Rome wasn't built in the day. One time, few people get lucky on TikTok, granted, but most won't.
Yeah.
And, it takes hard work, it takes dedication, it takes, consistency and showing up. And I
Yep.
think that, I wish that the next generation holds what I know that we all hold.
Yeah. And not
Um,
giving up. Not giving up.
don't, yeah,
Don't give up.
100%.
Thank you
I'm
for
gonna
having
see you.
me. I adore
I'm gonna
you.
see you
Thank
in
you so much.
Dubai, and you.
I'm gonna
Tell
come see
everyone how
you.
they can find you. Yep. How
Oh,
can everyone
everyone
find
can
you? Follow
find
you?
me at Jennifer Fisher Jewelry is our jewelry Instagram. Uh, I've got my new Instagram called Maiden, Maedyn, which is where all of my food content is going to go, because I'm going to get it off of Instagram. Or I'm going to have that there, and then we're going to have maiden.com, which is also going to have all of my, travel, fashion, everything lifestyle kind of stuff on there. And it's jenniferfisher.com is my jewelry. You can buy my salts. You can buy all of my diamonds, my charms, my lab diamonds, my hoops, all of my stuff there. And we are in New York City. Come see me at my stores. Hit me on Instagram. I respond to all the DMs myself.
She does. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you.